Is it footprints or butt prints? Years ago, while I was living outside of New York City, an international executive, high-end guy, president of a corporation, asked me a challenging question. He was a gunner, personally and corporately. He was an avid skier. And he was a high-level squash player, and the only real competition he could find was a local club pro, whom he most often beat. He was ambitious, driven, decisive. He was an effective executive. That man asked, "If I become a serious Christian, will I lose my edge?" Isn't that a great question? He was asking, do I have to be a wimp if I become a disciple? What would you have said? What would your answer have been? I bet you've heard the Footprints poem, but have you heard the Buttprints one? My question to you is this: footprints or butt prints? Which are you going to leave behind? Are you going to leave footprints or butt prints along the shore in the wake of your life? To help you answer that, I'll tell you about the two poems, one popular, one not so much. The first you've seen, I'm sure you have. It's titled Footprints in the Sand. Several versions of it exist. The oldest one I've found is from 1936 by Mary Stevenson. It's the story of someone in a dream, walking down a sandy beach with Christ. And looking back over her life as footprints in the sand, she sees that sometimes only one set of prints appeared along the shore. She questioned the Lord. "Lord, you promised to walk with me. Why is it that in the tough times there's only one set of prints?" The Lord answered, "That's when I carried you. Those were my prints, not yours." Now, stay with me. This is going to take a strange turn. But first, let me tell you, Footprints in the Sand does illustrate a valid and important biblical truth for all believers. Hebrews 13:5 states it. Here it is. "For he himself, the Lord, has said, I will never desert you, nor will I ever forsake you." That's really good stuff for believers, but it's not what the executive that I was talking to needed or wanted to hear. So here's the strange turn I told you was coming. It's based on 1 Corinthians 16:13. "Be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong." In other words, man up. Grow up, stand up, be strong. Don't be a wimp. Rise up, stand up, become a disciple. That's my paraphrase of that verse. So here's the second poem, author unknown. I love it. I put a copy of it in the Just a Question library of documents. Here's the poem. Here goes. "One night I had a wondrous dream. One set of footprints there was seen. Those were footprints of my precious Lord, but mine were not along that shore. But then some stranger prints appeared, and I asked the Lord, 'What have we here?' Those prints are large and round and neat, but Lord, they are too big for feet." "My child," he said in a somber tone, "for miles I carried you alone. I challenged you to walk in faith, but you refused. You made me wait. You disobeyed. You would not grow. The walk of faith you would not know. So I got tired. I got fed up. And so I dropped you on your butt. Because in life there comes a time when one must fight and one must climb, when one must rise and take a stand, or leave their butt prints in the sand." I love that. Being a Christian and ultimately a disciple doesn't mean wimping out. Christ paid the ultimate price so that you could become a believer. He died on the cross. It was his sacrifice, his work. It was a price higher than you or I could possibly pay. But for you as a believer, to become a disciple, it's your sacrifice and your work. It's a high price, but one you can pay if You be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men and be strong. In other words, if you rise up, stand up, be strong. Don't be a wimp. Wimps, spiritual wimps, don't become disciples. So skeptic, don't think that all Christians are wimps, or that you will become one if you become a Christian. I led NFL chapels for a number of years, and I can tell you, I met a lot of strong athletes. They were disciples, true Christians, disciples of Christ. And I can tell you, they sure hadn't lost their edge. Seeker, know the same thing. It can take a lot of courage to make your decision for Christ, to believe in Him on His terms. And I can tell you, it will take a lot of strength for you to pay the price afterwards to become His disciple. And believer, rise up. Take a stand. Be strong. Don't simply accept your fire and life insurance and then roll over vegetating until you die. Leave more behind than an empty dish. Leave more behind than your prints in the sand. Because in life there comes a time when one must fight and one must climb, when one must rise and take a stand, or leave their butt prints in the sand. I'm John Morris, and this has been Just a Question.